Hi, I'm Brittany, and I am a licensed elementary school teacher, but I'm staying home right now with my two kiddos. And today we're going to talk about the 12 top toys that I recommend to help you teach your preschooler everything they need to know without a curriculum. So, I've told you before that you really don't need a curriculum to teach preschool. Kindergarten, I don't think you need one either, but if it makes you feel better, you can go ahead and do that. I do have other videos on how to teach your children the basics that they need to know in kindergarten without a curriculum. I even have an online assessment that you can use, that you can, if you join my newsletter, you can get for free. You can download, you can print it out as many times as you need. But I really think that preschool is not about academic stuff. It's about play. Now, do I teach my preschooler academic stuff? Absolutely, but because he's ready. And with preschoolers, it's not so much teaching them, it's exposure. And I've said that over and over again with young children, everything is about exposure, which means they need toys that expose them to how real life works. And that means colors, shapes, textures. Textures are really important to little guys. And again, you really don't need the academic stuff. I teach mine the academic stuff, I absolutely do, but number one, because they're ready. Number two, I'm not really teaching. With my son, I'm not sitting him down and giving him a lecture on all the sounds of the alphabet. Now, we will throw them in if while we're playing, I think he's ready to listen, or I will just, I'll say them out loud when we go through the puzzle. I'll say, oh, A. A says, ah, 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 ah. Can you say ah, ah, ah? And no, I'm not going to be quizzing him later saying you were right or wrong, but we'll just go over that over and over and over again. Now, when he starts to really show that he's learning his sounds, for example, which he is, he will be 3 soon, but he is going through, I made him a bunch of flashcards with the capital and the lowercase version of each letter on it. Now, again, you don't have to do that with your preschooler. I'm doing it because this is the way he learns. He seems to really learn well that way. And he wants to. A lot of times younger siblings will want to do what their older sibling is doing, which my daughter who's in kindergarten is an early reader, and she has flashcards, and so he wants flashcards too. And rather than give him flashcards, with actual words on them, which is going to be hard for him, I've started him on letters. Now, if he doesn't want to do it, I don't, if he really doesn't want to do the academic stuff that day, it's usually best with that not to push it when they're really little, because they're showing you that they're not ready. And he can do a lot, and he chooses when to show me when he wants to do it, so that's just something to be aware of. A lot of preschoolers, especially the little bitties, aren't going to want to show you. Now, the older they get, the more they can sit still. A rule of thumb that I heard when I was in college was that we should be able to expect children to sit still for the number of minutes that's their age and really focus on something. So 2-year-olds, 2 minutes, 3-year-olds, 3 minutes. Now, mine do longer, and I work with them on it, but again, it's not like with my 5-year-old, it doesn't matter if she feels like doing math or not. We're doing math every single day. With my 2-year-old, if he just absolutely isn't going to sit still and do numbers that day, then, we're going to try to do something else. We're going to play a different game. I'll sing a number song with him. We'll do his puzzle or something. We have to be a lot more flexible with preschoolers because we don't want to break them down before they're ready to start. A lot of kiddos are not ready for academic stuff, and that's okay. But they are ready for a lot of these toys. And I bring this up because I do not let my children have a Kindle, an iPad. They don't have tablets to play with. Now, am I judging everyone who lets their young kids have tablets? No, that's not what I'm doing. But for us personally, the research has shown that young children do not need that kind of screen time. Now, we do TV. They watch a ton of YouTube science videos, but the way that especially extended exposure to screen time, like with iPads and Kindles, has shown that it's not good for children. It can change the way they learn. It can change the way they interact with people. It can change temperaments if they're given too much time. The good news is, if you're afraid your child is getting too much time on the Kindle or the iPad, you can wean them off. They will not die if you take away the Kindle or the iPad. They really won't. And I know that sounds mean, and it's very hard when they're having a temper tantrum and you just want to get some housework done. but I promise you they will be fine. Now, like I said, we have made the decision. Now, I will say we give them Kindles for watching TV on if we're traveling or in a doctor's office or somewhere that they literally can't get out and do anything else, or if they're sick. We'll put up the Kindle with Disney Plus on, and we'll turn on, Mickey and the Roadster Racers or something, but as a regular practice, they are not allowed to have those. I have let my daughter briefly do some drawing stuff on my iPad before because I have an Apple Pencil. I have it for my work. And I've let her do some of that, and she's done a few learning apps on it, but as a general rule, I don't even let her do a whole lot of that. I've had a really hard time finding good learning apps for younger kids that I really feel like it does a good job. The one that I did find is expensive, and I had a free trial and it ended, and I didn't purchase it. But just so you know, they really don't need that for the vast majority. Now, I did work with a child with special needs at a school once who used it for communication. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about watching videos, playing games. They really don't need that when they're little. And like I said, research has shown that especially extended exposure is not good for kids. Now, I'm not talking like we're moving or someone's sick or we just need a break because something crazy is happening. I mean just the regular getting into the habit of giving it to them. And unfortunately, those things are super addictive and really easy to hand to kids, and kids start to expect that really fast. So just something to be aware of. Excuse me. But anyway, so we're going to talk about toys that I recommend for preschoolers that, and I mean, some of these you can do from age, very young. Some of them you can't. You need to wait till they're, 3 or whatever the box says, so they can't swallow the pieces. But these are toys that I highly recommend. My kids have all of these. My son does not have access to all of them because of his age. But my kids have all of these, and it's amazing what kids can do when you make them bored. Being bored is really good for kids because they're forced to get creative. And again, these, kids may whine and complain and scream and throw tantrums at first if you start lowering screen time. The way we deal with screen time and other toys is my daughter has a routine, and it has math, English language arts, science, reading time, art, and chores before she's allowed to watch TV. Now, that doesn't include science TV because that's a part of our science. They like to watch this it's a show located in the UK. It's a YouTube channel called Operation Ouch that talks about the body for kids, and I like a lot of their stuff. It's not Christian. I do kind of just listen in sometimes on the stuff, but for the most part, it's a fantastic show. And my kids love the body. They love to study the body. They like, what are some of the others? They like science shows, so that doesn't include the science, but she has to do all those things, and that's 6 things before she's allowed to pick what's on TV. And for my son, I pretty much say the same. I make him wait until she's done, because if he's got the TV on, she's not going to be doing anything, and he really doesn't need that much TV, even though he doesn't have as much schoolwork as she does. So she has to get a chore done. She has to do some sort of art. I sometimes allow her to substitute creative things in there. So like if she's doing Legos or something like that, I allow that. 15 minutes of reading, and with that, either I'm reading with them or she's reading by herself, but it's 15 minutes of reading. Science, so we'll have a science lesson. Usually we read out of a book and watch videos on whatever we've just read. English language arts, so whatever I've done for reading, writing, that kind of stuff, and then math. And once that's done, then they're allowed to watch TV. But in the meantime, forcing them to do, and you could even build this into part of your schedule, is playtime. Kids really today lack playtime that's not structured, that they're not expected to come up with any, they're not doing lessons, they're not on the iPad, like actually sitting on the floor and playing. And the more you leave your kids to be bored, but you give them access to these basic toys, the better it is for them. Okay, so number 1, blocks. Blocks are one of my absolute favorite toys for kids because they help kids learn shapes. They learn physics, as weird as that sounds. They learn about gravity. They learn about balance. They learn about how to build things, how to put them together. Blocks are amazing, and there's science behind all this. You can look it up, especially how good blocks are for your kiddos. So blocks, and you can have the foam ones. My son really likes, he's got the little cube ones with the colored letters and numbers on the sides. They've been around forever. My son loves those. We have those, but they're upstairs in his room and he's taking it out. So blocks are my first recommend. for kids' toys. Number 2, Legos. And again, they're in my son's room. My son has Duplos. He really wants the small Legos that my daughter has. I trust my daughter not to eat them. I don't trust my son not to eat them. But he has Duplos, and he will literally sit for an hour with his pile of Duplos and build things. And again, Legos are so good for the brain. They really work with creativity. There are colors, there are shapes. It works on those fine motor skills because you have to click things together and pull them apart. So number 2, Legos. There's a reason they're the #1 selling toy in the world and have been for like a gazillion years. 3, Lincoln Logs. My son was just introduced to Lincoln Logs because they do have some of those smaller swallow-sized parts. My daughter's played with them longer. And again, the same thing. Almost every toy that I'm recommending in here is stuff that's really good for developing fine motor skills, for developing an understanding of how the world physically works, how to put things together with their hands, working on that creativity, how can we build different things. 4, water beads. Okay, so I ordered the extra large because they're harder to swallow. Now, you do need to watch your kids with these, especially if you have ones who tend to put things in their mouth, because they're gel and they swell up. These extra large ones swell up to about this big, which I think choking size is 1/4. And they're bigger than that, but they are mushy, so you do want to double check. But I showed these to my son's neurologist, and she was so excited. She's like, "That's so awesome!" And literally, what I would do is, so these are water beads. They look tiny. You put them in water for like 24 hours, and they expand. And you leave them in the water to soak. Of course, you put more water in the water beads at first because they're tiny. You put them in and they expand and they last forever. And they can dehydrate and then they can expand again if you add water. My kids love these. They love to. So what I did to help build those fine motor skills is I give my son a spoon and a cup and a bowl, and he was literally. I showed him how to pick up one of the beads with the spoon and move it to the bowl and dump it. And we talked about color with those. He was able to feel the texture, the shape. It really worked on that concentration. And he would literally sit there as like a 1-year-old. He'd sit there and just do that for 10-15 minutes, which when you're 1, that's a lot of focus. So anyways, I love these. And just so you know, I will put the link to all of these in the blog post, so that you can order them if you feel that's something that would benefit your kids. You obviously don't have to have all 12 of these, but these are just my favorites that we've discovered or that I played with when I was younger over the years. So yeah, water beads. Again, just watch with the choking hazard on these because they are small, and there are much smaller ones you can get that are like boba size. So if you order those for your kiddos, just make sure that they're appropriate so they're not going to choke on them. Okay, number 5, Play-Doh. And don't get the sparkly one like I accidentally got because it's extra sticky. I didn't mean to buy sparkly, but Play-Doh, amazing. Same thing. They're using their hands. They're forming things. They're seeing how they can press down and how what they do forms it and shapes it. You can do the different colors. Again, almost everything I'm going to do, I'm going to show you has to do with that fine motor skill building because it's so critical at this age. It's so critical. When I was working, there were teachers who were telling me that their students didn't know how to use scissors because they didn't practice those kinds of skills as small children. And before scissors comes things like this, things that deal with how to use your hands. And a lot of kids just aren't getting that. They know how to touch a screen, but they don't know how to use their hands. Number 6, crayons. Seems so basic, but I mean, honestly, giving a kid a coloring book and crayons can do wonders. Now, I will say some preschoolers don't like coloring. Some don't like coloring books. My daughter hated lines. She wanted blank notebooks, and so we gave her blank notebooks. But giving them access to color, there are, if they have a hard time holding the crayon still, there's a kind of special, they're called like pebbles. I'll see if I can put the link because we bought them for my son. But they're shaped like rocks, and they allow the child to practice that pencil grip without having to hold it in the pencil grip, and they still let them color by using their whole hand. So I'll try to put those in. For my almost 3-year-old, we're using, these are the large crayons. They're not the jumbo, they're large. And he's doing pretty well with these. And when they're about 3, you can really start to work with them on how to hold a pencil or how to hold a crayon. I don't recommend a pencil, but crayons have the same concept, so helping them put their hands in the right places and in the right shape or in the right form. And again, you're working with colors. They're seeing how they can push harder. They can, you know, push more lightly. So important. Okay, on puzzles. Yes, I wax poetic on puzzles, but they're so amazing. And with puzzles, you can do alphabet, you can do numbers, you can do shapes, and they let the children feel the shape and touch them and work with the colors. My son likes to sort. He actually dumped this out this morning. He hated sorting a year ago, so this is a new thing for us. But I liked sorting when I was like younger than 1. He hated it until recently. He dumped them all out and then sorted the numbers from the shape, so he knows they're two separate things. So that was really cool. So, but he's been doing this puzzle for probably over a year now. We have the letters puzzle, of course. We have a bigger numbers puzzle that goes to 20. So puzzles are super important. And again, I'm not a huge fan of the Montessori ones. My kids never greatly enjoyed those. We use them, but they much prefer these blocky ones. But again, you know, whatever works for your kid. All right, number 8. Toy cars, and we have 5 gazillion Hot Wheels upstairs, and green toys cars, and every car you can imagine we have, because my son is obsessed with them. But cars are really great because, or something similar, they let the child roll them back and forth, and it sounds stupid, but it practices. You know, they're learning about friction when they learn how fast things can slide. They're learning about gravity when they know that the cars are going to roll down. And they don't know this, they don't know these things. My son does not know, I mean, we read about gravity, but he doesn't know what it's called. He just is going to learn the concepts as, you know, with how the world works as he gets older. And it's really hard when your child doesn't, when children don't get that chance to learn those things before school, and they get to school and you start teaching them and they don't have that natural understanding of the world. Okay, number 9, pattern blocks. Hold on. Okay, I forgot to get this one. Pattern blocks, ha ha ha. Now, when I was little, these were made of foam. They are now made of cardboard, and I don't like that as much. I liked the foam ones better, but they don't make them anymore that I can tell. If you find them, message me and let me know with the link, because I miss the foam ones. But this is basically the same set I had when I was little. They've just repackaged it. And again, they don't come in foam anymore, but I love these because they have cards. This is one of the harder cards that they use the shapes and fill it in. They have simpler ones like this to show that 2 squares can make a rectangle, and a square and a rectangle can make a different rectangle. This one, 2 rectangles make a square, 2 triangles make a square, 4 little mini squares make a square. So they have all different ones. My son likes the ladybug one. He likes ladybugs. He likes bugs. This one just has the basic shapes. This one is really fun. It has a castle. And so my children were actually doing this one this morning. I'll show you some of the pieces. So like here's shiny, here's the square, here's a big circle, here's a rectangle. They have different kinds of triangles. Okay, so different kinds of triangles. Little miniature square, here's a little miniature circle. Oh, my son loves the semicircles, and he calls them semicircles because that's what we've always called them. So using these to practice the names of shapes is fantastic. Little mini circle. Okay, so that's pretty much all of them. But these are great, and these are one that I usually do with my son because he needs a little bit of help. But that's some great mommy and me time that you can do with them. And all of these are fun too to do with your child. Okay, what did I miss? I think I missed something. Okay, the next one is magnets, which they're upstairs with my daughter. And I'll post the link again so you can see. But there are all kinds of magnets. Again, you have to really be careful with magnets because of the swallow size. But my daughter has those magnetic geometric shapes, and her set comes with triangles about this big and squares about this big, as much as I can make my hand a square. And she has so much fun with those. She'll sit there and just play with them and play with them and play with them. And usually what my kids do is they'll go through phases. So we'll go through the magnet and sand and water bead phase. And when I put the water beads up, because we're destroying them, because my son likes to squeeze them and break them, then we'll move into a different phase. Maybe we'll do Play-Doh for a little while and blocks. And so they'll move kind of in and out of phases. It keeps things new. But anyways, yeah, so the magnets are fantastic because, again, they're practicing magnets, which is science, but they don't know why they work. They don't know why some repel and some pull attract. They just know that they figure out that they do. And those are fun. I've never had one fall apart on me, so I think they should be fine, but check the age labels with those to make sure that your child, it's age appropriate, or that you don't, if you know your child. If you think your child would make this a danger, don't get it, or wait till they're a little older. Okay, the last one is, second to last one, is sand. This is kinetic sand. My children have multiple kinds of sand. So kinetic sand is a lot cleaner, so they can play with it inside. It's a little bit sticky. There are ways to make your own online. I just buy it, but see if you can see it's kind of stretchy. But it's much easier to get the sand when I rub it here off my hands this way than it is regular sand. So it's okay. It's better to play with this in the house. Now my kids either have to play on the table or on the tile because it is sand. But my little guy likes to put his construction vehicles in here. Our set came with this, the roller, makes it flat, the little scoop. Little castle piece, and I've thrown little things. Oops, my lighting fell down. I've thrown little things in here like unicorns. I guess this is a Pegasus. But anyways, so that's fun. And so if you can't always go out to the backyard, because our backyard is super hot at certain times of day, just because we have no shade. So if you can't go outside all the time to play, we keep ours in just that big plastic box. Each of my kids has a box, and that way they have their own box, they have their own sand. It's not super cheap, but once you have it, it lasts for a while, as long as your kid doesn't like put jelly in it or something. Okay, and the last thing that I want to say is just the basic pretend items. And I'm not talking about having to have the latest Barbie, the latest Disney Princess Barbie. They can, but I'm not saying you have to. Just basic dolls, basic construction vehicles. My son has dump trucks and he loves them. My daughter had a dump truck. She liked it, but my son loves them. Basic dolls, just the basic play toys, balls that you would put. My daughter has food, toy food that she likes to pretend with. So just again, go back to the basics. They can have all the fancy stuff. They don't need it. And if you can't afford the stuff that you want for your kiddos, it's a great thing to ask for Christmas and birthday. And I hate when people are really picky about what their kids get for, birthdays and such. It's like, just be grateful. But if you can't afford something and you think your child needs it, there's no shame in going to your family members and saying, hey, we're trying to, wean our kids off of quite as many electronics. These are some things that they could really use. Do you think maybe you could help with them? I think that's a fantastic way to get the things that your kiddos need. And it's a great way to save money. Honestly, when you have the basic toys, when you have 3 or 4 basic toys that your kid can bounce around between, they're going to be just fine. We've been reading Little House on the Prairie lately, and with my kiddos, and those kids had like maybe 2 or 3 toys tops in their whole arsenal. Kids are a lot more resilient than you think, and they don't need as many things as we think they do. So anyways, you don't need a curriculum. If you sit down with your kiddo and you play with these toys, and while you're playing, you're bringing in academic material, and you're saying, oh, let's count the round blocks. How many round blocks do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, look, 5 round blocks. Or while you're playing with the shapes, you say, oh, I think we need a circle here. Where's the circle? Is this a circle? Oh no, that's a square. Let's find the circle. It's round like this. Talking about colors, talking about numbers, doing it with them, modeling. I cannot say enough. I cannot express how important it is to model for your kids, to show them how to do things so that they can see over and over and over again. Okay, if you have these things and if you work on them with your kiddos and let your kiddos just be free with them, just let them be bored, I promise you they will be off to a great start for pre-K. Pre-Kers are often not ready to learn academically, and if they are for some, we still don't need to push them really hard because they need time to play. They will be an adult for the rest of their life or in school or work or something. We need to let them be bored and explore because that's their job. It's what they're meant to do. Okay, I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope this was helpful. I hope it kind of puts you to rest in feeling like you don't need to get your kids all the newest, the newfangled toys and the next iPad game, or even that you need to get them an iPad, because you really don't. Go back to the basics. Go back to simple. whatever's going to build the hand-eye coordination, the fine motor skills. It's a great place to be. All right, well, I hope you have a fantastic day. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, or you can email me at brittany.pearl, that's PERL.teach@gmail.com. You can go to my website, Brittany Pearl, again, PERL.com, and you can sign up for my news link. I have a bunch of free stuff you can print out. Like I said, I've got the kindergarten assessment, I've got a hundreds chart, I've got a number line that I made specifically for my daughter to help her understand numbers. And as I create more free stuff, I'm going to have it on there. I also have a homeschooling planner that I basically made as flexible as I possibly could to work with whatever works for you, for your family. And I'll have the link to that as well. I hope you have a fantastic day, and don't forget to like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss any of these videos, and make sure to drop me a hello or a question if you have one. All right, you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.